This is Jonathan Yates with the Culture of Sports. We're back in the Capitol again. This time we're in Annapolis to talk with Delegate Charles Sydnor about what makes sports so special in his district in Baltimore County. Delegate Sydnor, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, you went to UMBC. What's new in Retriever Nation?
What's true in Retriever Nation? The whole country knows about the UMBC Retrievers now. How about that?
Now, does it surprise you?
Yes. I mean, I guess I'd be dishonest if I said, no, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I know what a jewel UMBC is. Went there for graduate school, and now the whole nation knows about the jewel.
Now, I checked out the roster, and the majority of the team is from Maryland High School. Certainly DeMatha was there, certainly no surprise there. Bowie, does that surprise you at all to see the roster dominated by Maryland basketball players?
No, not at all. I mean, the UMBC, everyone here in Maryland knows about UMBC and knows the jewel that it is. And if you're looking for strong academics, it's going to be the school for you.
Now, you benefited from going to 3 jewels on the Crown. You went to Poly,
Yes.
then you went to Johns Hopkins.
Right.
And so what was that like, working your way up as a student athlete in high school, then to Hopkins undergrad, and then graduate school and law school?
I tell people there was nowhere else that I wanted to go. Went to Poly, enjoyed myself there. I say best school in Baltimore City, and wrestled. Went on to Johns Hopkins, again one of the better schools in the nation.
No disagreement there.
and I enjoyed myself there as well. And from there, I mean, all of these schools were stepping stones to prepare for the next. So, I mean, after Hopkins, I went to UMBC, and at the same time, I think after 1 year at UMBC, went and joined this dual degree program and went to the University of Maryland School of Law. So I graduated in May of 2000 from both of the schools.
So what did you enjoy so much about wrestling?
You know, it's one of those sports where it's not only is it an individual sport where you get what you put in, but it's also a team sport where you're also dependent upon how everybody else on the team performs. It was a sport that you had to have discipline. I mean, and it was difficult. I'll tell you that it was very difficult. Passing on Thanksgiving and Christmas meals.
Oh, there were celery stalks at Thanksgiving, surely.
Awful. but it was a sport that I mean, for somebody like me, when I matriculated through Poly, I was in our A course, and so a lot of times, you know, you looked at your A course students as the nerds of the school, but I mean, it gave me an opportunity to have fun and meet people outside of the A course, and they've been friends to this day.
And do you think the values you learned as a wrestler have helped you in your political career?
I think the values of not just wrestling, but just sports, period, it helps. Number one, you learn that you're not always going to win. And when I went in as a wrestler, it was the first time I took up the sport. I felt I was too small to play football, wouldn't want to play football. But with wrestling, you had the 103 weight class all up to heavyweight.
Yeah.
So I found my spot. And for me as a young man growing, you're looking for something where you can mature into from the boy to the man, and this was something. I mean, it wasn't boxing or football, but it was something that, you know, you got a chance to be a little aggressive and learn some things to help define who you were.
Now, UMBC is just another time that the world has been focused on sports in Maryland. What do you think makes sports in Maryland so special?
Man, well, you look at lacrosse. I mean, that's the hotbed of most of our sports. Look at basketball. I mean, so many of our young high school athletes go on to play college or collegiate basketball. Maryland has a lot of great athletes that matriculate through college and even go on to professional sports. I mean, it's a great place to play. You get all the different seasons. I mean, and then you have a variety of sports that I think anyone, depending upon what kind of sport you want to be engaged in, there's something for everyone.
No, I could not agree with you more. When you look at it, studies have shown that there are more professional basketball players and more professional football players who come from PG County than anywhere else in America.
Now, that surprises me. I would have thought Baltimore.
Well, the Washington to Philadelphia corridor provides more in every sport, not just football, not just basketball. But when you look at it, when you talk about that, and you think, great football, everybody thinks, oh, well, Odessa High School in Texas, Friday Night Lights. They sent one player to D1. When I was at Arundel, we sent 11 guys to D1. Wow. Why do you think it is that Maryland does not get its due when people look at great high school sports?
Maybe we need a movie after us or something, a TV show. I don't know. That's a very good question. I think the statistics show something different. I think when you look at the players in the NFL and players in the NBA, I mean, our professional athletes they're right there.
Certainly from Baltimore, you got Rudy Gay, Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely.
Juan Dixon is back coaching at Coppin.
That's correct. So I mean, we develop. When I say we, I mean the state of Maryland. They develop really good, and not just athletes, but scholar athletes.
Yes. As a father of daughters, what do you think the impact of Title IX has been on athletes?
I think it's opened up the opportunity for a lot of young women who to get those same types of lessons that our young men have been getting for over the years. I mean, again, sports is something that they can be hard, but they teach you how you. I mean, it's almost like a way of living. I mean, they teach you that you get in what you get out what you put in. And not everything's going to come easy. I know when I wrestled, not everything came easy. First joining the team, I didn't know if I was going to actually make the team. But then when you do it, I mean, it's just an amazing feeling. And trust me, I lost more than my share of matches. and those lessons, again, they stick with me today, even as a legislator. You're not going to win everything. So I mean, you learn to deal with not always winning.
And do you see your daughter learning those same lessons running track?
Absolutely. I know going out for the team, she's pretty shy, but when she actually made the team, I mean, again, it was the same joy that she had was the same joy that I remembered having when I made the team. We had an opportunity to watch her school. They had track meet out at Hereford High School, and just the excitement of kind of being a hang around your teammates and your teammates cheering you on.
The camaraderie.
You can't get that. You can't get that in just a strictly academic type setting. You just won't.
And so what are the community sports programs like in your district?
We have, and prior to going to high school, I used to play sports. So we have a rec league at the Edrico Rec League, Edmondson Westview Recreation, and for both, their basketball program has been going pretty strong. The other sports, they aren't as, I don't believe they're as strong as what they used to be. So they need a little bit of help. Woodlawn, they have a rec league that has they've been trying to grow their baseball program. Catonsville has a pretty strong baseball league. They also have a pretty good young girls lacrosse team.
Really?
Yeah, so I have my daughter even doing that for a few years, but it's probably getting me for saying this, but the ball hit her once in the head, and that was enough. Again, the young ladies, when they're playing lacrosse, they don't have the same types of equipment that young men have, and that getting hit once was enough.
Well, there's no education in the second kid. She obviously understands. What about the high schools in your district? What are the programs like there?
Let me tell you. And then if you look at me on Twitter or whatever, I mean, our schools are doing, I think, very well. Yeah. You have, in terms of young ladies, Catonsville High School, they won the championship last year. We had them down in Annapolis rooting them on. They made it to the finals this year, and unfortunately, they lost in the finals.
Was the whole community behind the team?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're wearing your community's name, so you got to be behind them. You have
That must have been great for you as a father to see the community behind the girls' team.
and as a legislator for that district, I mean, anytime that our schools are doing well, I mean, that means that there's some joy in the community. It's funny, I was joking with a young lady who's a page down here. She attends Milford Mill, which is just on the outside of my district, but it services students from my district. And I told her, because Milford's male basketball team, they were in the finals this year playing against my alma mater, Poly. So I told her, look, I'll cheer for you all the way until you get to play against my team. I said, nah,
A true legislator.
I got to be honest. I bleed blue and orange through and through. So, so Milford, I mean, their basketball team has been going well. I was rooting for their football team, which made it to the States this year. So rooting for them throughout, even watching the game on television at home. So I mean, to see the loss within, I think it was the final seconds, so it was disappointing. But I mean, they did a great job for their team. Woodlawn, their football program has been doing extremely well. The basketball program, I think they met Milford in the States and ended up losing. But
Well, that all starts from the bottom, from those community programs in your district.
you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Well, let's take it to the top. Maryland's been blessed to have 4 HBCUs. You've got Bowie, Coppin, Morgan, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. On June 8th, they're all going to be on this show, the athletic directors, talking about those issues. What do you see some of the issues as a legislator for historic black colleges and universities?
In terms of sports?
Overall, and then we'll bring it down to sports.
Overall,
They're all excellent institutions, both academically and athletically.
right. I know they have, not the schools themselves, but there's been a lawsuit that had been filed attempting to ensure that programs weren't being duplicated unnecessarily here in the state. So I mean, there's certainly always been an issue about the funding and them being treated a little differently than the rest of the schools. But I mean, in terms of sports, I mean, I can remember, I think this was probably back when I was looking at colleges. You're talking about some schools that have storied athletic programs themselves. I mean, at that time, Fang Mitchell was the coach up at Coppin, and they were in the NCAAs just like UMBC was. And if I'm not mistaken, they won their first round game.
That was a legendary game.
Right. You have at Morgan. You had the Bears in lacrosse, and
they beat Washington and Lee in the playoffs.
And I get to serve with Delegate, one of the delegates who was on that team, Kurt Anderson.
Oh, I'm sure he never talks about it.
He never, no, of course he doesn't. UMES, I mean, you're talking about a school that has a PGA, one of the, I think, few PGA programs in the state. So I mean, it's my understanding that that's been a program that's been kind of drawn as a magnet. And Bowie as well, they've had decent basketball teams.
Decent? Other basketball team and football team were stellar this year.
Yes,
It's not in your district.
Not in my district.
We can't hold that against you.
No.
Now, all those schools have excellent athletic directors, too, so we're looking forward to the interviews there. What do you see the overall climate with the Chesapeake Bay? You serve on that committee working with it. It's the jewel of Maryland. Everyone uses it. What are the outdoor activities from your district with the Bay?
Outdoor activities. You know, it's funny. My district, we have Patapsco State Park. So you have a lot of people who like to go into the park doing their bike ride. We have a little river, the river that runs through, so you have a lot of people canoeing and just kind of doing some river sports, fishing and the like. I'm trying to think what else they may do at Patapsco State Park. That's not sports, but so I mean, you certainly see a lot of bike riders. In fact, I think in our district we just had some new bike lanes put in because not only is there the ability to ride bikes in Patapsco State Park, but you ride along within the district. You can actually ride through what park is that? Like Gwynns Falls
Yes.
to downtown Baltimore. So I mean,
People don't realize these little hidden gems in the Maryland outdoor activities, which are a huge part of the culture of the sports.
You're absolutely right.
So what do you see taking your daughters to these? I mean, are there going to be the trips down to Ocean City? Are you going to be mountain biking out in western Maryland? Snowboarding in Deep Creek?
It's funny. I tried to do some bike riding a few years ago, and I realized that how out of shape I am. So no, we certainly get out there, and the girls. Just a few years ago, we had I have 3 girls, and they all wanted to make certain that they knew how to ride bikes. So now they all know how to ride bikes, getting them out in the park and everything, and roller skating. We actually have a roller skating rink within our district, and now that's exercise as well.
Yes.
And I didn't realize maybe it was 2 or 3 months ago, we went out roller skating, and man, you get to a certain age, you begin feeling that stuff.
You start checking the deductible on your health insurance.
My
That's for sure. So when you talk about cycling, I was just reading a book, and Lance Armstrong said that I don't cycle for the pleasure, I cycle for the pain. Do you miss that? Do you miss that pain from when you wrestled, when you start hitting that zone and those moves become second nature?
You know what? You do. Actually, you do. I mean, it's funny. A few years ago, I went to Poly and had a chance to go into our gymnasium, and then there's certain smells that you just don't forget, and it just all kind of hit me when I walked back in there. It's like, man, I remember this smell, and you do, but. I just turned 44 earlier this week. I know my limitations.
Well, with 3 daughters, I'm sure that reminds you of that every day. What are some of your fondest memories from growing up in Maryland about the culture of sports? You had the Ravens, the Orioles, University of Maryland championship, Hopkins championships. What are the fondest memories you have? Coming from Poly and Hopkins, UMBC.
Yeah, I mean, being able to go to Memorial Stadium and watch the Orioles play.
Now you're really dating yourself.
I am. I mean, and going there and watching a Poly City game on Thanksgiving Day.
It's a legendary.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think any team in America could hope to come to that Poly City game and leave a winner? When you talk sports, you always hear Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania. The foundation of this show is there's not a high school in America that could hope to go up and down the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, pay Poly, Dunbar, Gilman, St. Joe in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, come down to the South, play Tamatha, Roosevelt, and even hope to go back as a winner. I mean, what do you think?
You know, it's funny. If it was a team playing against the teams that we had when I was there, the answer would be no, because we were going up the road. And that was one of the great things that I liked about Poly's athletic program back then when we were in the MSAs, is a lot of our students, we got to go out and play teams that we never would have been able to play. I mean, we in the schools, we traveled down to Louisiana, Delaware, playing them, and our wrestling team, we traveled overnight playing in Delaware or wrestling in Delaware. Our football team has been struggling for the past few years, unfortunately.
Everybody goes through ups and downs.
We've been going through some. However, with that said, I mean, with the way that Poly's basketball program has grown, I mean, it's been amazing. So I mean, while our football team is struggling, back when I was there, I mean, our basketball team was okay, but you had Dunbar and Lake Clifton. They were the dominant teams.
They made books about it. Four of those 5 starters went to the NBA. No other high school could ever claim that.
Now it's Poly. I mean, that's the standard.
And why is that? Why the shift in power?
You know what? I wish I knew. I mean, I know from meeting the coach, I know he's a great coach, good guy, and then he draws the best out of the athletes. And the thing is, I think when you're good, you draw people who want to be with good, or when you're great, you draw people who want to be with great, and that's what they've been able to do. And again, you have a great athletic program in the midst of a great academic program.
Sure, there's nothing better.
No, not
and then
at
there's a scholarship waiting for you if you get accepted at Hopkins.
How about that?
Yes,
you can't beat that. Graduating from a Baltimore City public school, being able then to get accepted and on full scholarship rides go to Hopkins.
So let me see, let's finish it up. You see the community leaders, you see the high school leaders, you see the college leaders in sports. I've got 4 of the best young ADs coming in for an interview on June 8th. What do you look upon as the future of sports in Maryland? You optimistic? You think it's going to continue to improve?
Oh, I mean, I think the future is bright. I think you still have a lot of talented young men and young women out there who are hungry to participate in athletics, and you have a group of parents who want their children to participate and have the best.
Mikhail Kyer from Gilman, who won the foundation for being the top scholar athlete in football, the academic Heisman, the William Candle Trophy, he wants to become an athletic director, which is unprecedented for someone like that who's Rhodes Scholar material.
How about that?
Yeah, something. So you're optimistic about the future of sports in Maryland?
Absolutely.
With you in State House, sir, I am too. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.